First of all, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you for your business. I want to thank you for the innovation that you are bringing to the market. Jane Goodall, who is very well known in the world for her anthropology studies, she was saying that businesses should be a driver for change, and that's why I want to thank you for the innovation that you are bringing to the markets and to the industries that you're working in, and also for the perseverance that you put in pursuing your goals. Not to mention that, thank you for being here. The discussion today is coming from the mission statement of Tableau, where we help people see, understand, and act on the data. And this is exactly the conversation for today. It's not about a conversation of what or why, but it's a matter of how we make use of the data. So we are going to discuss about our view on self-service analytics. We are going to discuss about what we call wall-to-wall approach and enterprise-wide adoption and governance. And I think these are all important topics for when you want to deploy analytics at scale. And why should you deploy analytics at scale in an organization? Just a few words about us. So we were founded in 2012. We are basically at the stage of Tableau Premier Partner. This is the highest achievement in the Tableau ecosystem. We cover the entire lifecycle of data. So we don't only handle Tableau, we also handle data integration, warehousing, and analytics. Since 2021, we did a joint venture with Next Consult, who is a Salesforce Crest partner. So basically, we are one of the most comprehensive Salesforce portfolio partners in the Salesforce ecosystem. So our portfolio stack includes Tableau, MuleSoft, Slack, out of Salesforce, and Talent for data integration, Vertica for data warehousing and machine learning, and of course any other Salesforce clouds like sales, marketing, and e-commerce. And altogether, we have been Salesforce partners since 2013. So the first topic, self-service analytics. We know that many companies were using, and unfortunately, some of the companies are still using a centralized model where you have a lot of requests. This used to be better in my screen before. Sorry. Okay, so we have a lot of requests like create report, give me this report, give me this data, and so on, that are coming to one guy or a very small team. And typically, this guy is a report builder. He's so swamped in handling these requests that he doesn't do anything scalable. He just responds to requests like a fireman. We typically call him the report builder. The model that we're proposing in terms of self-service data analytics, it's more decentralized in terms that we have in the center the governed data sets, where basically we have the data sets that we know that they are curated, the formulas are there, the KPI definition is unified, ideally with a business glossary that is including the business terms that should be universally accepted within the organization. And then each department is having its own functions to run analytics, because they need it either for operational purposes, either for management purposes, in order to what we call delegate. Yeah, we want to move away from micromanagement. So this is the idea. In such a scenario, our report builder guy actually becomes an enabler. So his function is actually elevated because he is providing these data sets that can elevate the function of analytics. It can, he is improving the quality of the data, and then he is becoming an even more reliable resource in the organization. What is the outcome of this? First of all, is the shared responsibility. So the responsibility is no longer with the report builder guy, who basically the entire company stays with him and is only dependent on him, and everybody prays that he doesn't go on vacation. But now, when there is shared responsibility, then departments like sales, marketing, and so on, they are becoming their own analytics actors. Moreover, this is something which comes naturally if you think about it, because who knows best how to calculate conversion than a marketing guy? Who knows how to calculate the value of the pipeline than a sales guy, and so on and so forth. So it makes more sense function-wise to have this shared responsibility. The other part is that the end users in the business departments, they are empowered to use analytics. In terms that they will be empowered to create their own analytics, to collaborate with other departments, to have to make use of analytics in any front-facing scenario. Like you see these typical Salesforce Agentforce demos where he's asking, I want to go on a ski trip, and the agent recommends a ski jacket, right? Well, how does it know? Because they know their customer, because they have access to the data. They know what the customer wants, they know their size, they know their color preferences, and so on and so forth. It's about empowering your users with access to the data. Obviously, you would have a faster time to market. So as soon as a sales analyst, for example, will create an analysis that he can use within his own department to produce an action based on that insight, then it will be way faster than waiting for IT to provide this data. Naturally, there is flexibility because these kind of decisions, operational decisions, are taken within this department, and they are moving things forward much faster. So we become more flexible. And then it's all about adoption. Marketing will always collaborate with sales, with finance, in order to align on what? On the data, right? Because they have campaigns, they are spending money on campaigns, they have targeted revenues. What is then revenues? Is it what sales is closing or what is actually invoiced? So this is the kind of common data language that is enabled. From the real life, we have done such an implementation with Orange Romania. This is one of the main telecom providers. We actually have three, or all of them are main, but they are one of the three providers. What they did is exactly this. They empowered their departments, and they have a lot. We're talking about an organization of about 7,000 employees with roughly 9 million subscribers. And they gave the power of the data to the users. They said, we don't want IT to keep being a bottleneck, because they were in a bottleneck, and we want to spread this in the organization. So they implemented internally in the organization the hub and spoke model, where basically, just in the diagram in the previous slide, the hub is preparing and governing the data and the access to the data, and then the other departments are leveraging the data. This organization came from having 2 developers, and you can imagine such an organization having 2 report builders is simply a bottleneck. Currently, they have around 90 developers in the business departments. And this is in just 4-year times. Yeah, it is definitely possible. And now we have our champions in customer service department, in B2B sales, and in technology. They are massive. They are teaching other colleagues how to leverage the data. They don't want to accept Excel files via email and PDF presentations via email, because guys, we have Tableau. Let's work on this. It's simple. It becomes natural. This case is public on our website. You can browse it to see it. The next topic is wall-to-wall approach. What is the story here? You will see from our dear colleagues and partners in Salesforce this terminology, wall-to-wall approach. At first, even for me, it sounded like a sales speech. Yeah, wall-to-wall. Let's deploy to everybody. But the idea is the following. We have, if you remember from the Porter's 5 forces, we have partners, competitors, customers, and of course, inside our organization. It is more than often that when we speak to our prospects and customers to say that we want reports for management. Okay, fine. Management will have reports, but what about the rest of the people? No, but management needs the reports. Okay, this is not the proper way to go. what we are evangelizing is the fact that management, of course, they need access to this data as live as possible, but then they need to collaborate downstream. They need any report, direct, indirect, on the reporting line, they need to have access to the data in order to speak the same language, in order to streamline the question, the insight, the problem that anybody spots, to speak on the same language and to be able to act on it on a streamlined manner. So that's why the wall-to-wall approach is proposed. Because, again, coming to the front office representative, wouldn't you like that whenever you go into the branch of a bank, just to tell your name, and then they will know everything about you. They will know what are your portfolio of products, what maybe a credit card expires, and so on, without providing such information. And for them, if they have access to this data, they can be much more help for you. And it's not only front office, obviously, customer service is the other obvious example, but then again, in operations, be it logistics, be it warehousing, be it ordering, and so on. Analysts are in the core of everything because they are analyzing this data and they are producing these insights. So that's why we strongly believe in such wall-to-wall approach, in terms that everybody should have access to the data. Not to all data, of course, because that's why we are working on a governed self-service approach, where any employee should have access to the data according to their own position, right? But whenever they are settled on that position, they should have access to the full data set. What is the outcome of this? Of course, the employees are empowered with data. And whenever you empower people with data, then they become valuable for you. They are not simply processing orders or taking customer requests or customer complaints. They are providing value to your organization and to your customers, even if it's about gaining confidence and gaining a smile from the customer. These things really are really important. What we noticed is that there is like a viral effect on adopting such practices, because it takes practice to read data and to understand it. And once you start this, it's like a virus, but in a positive way, to have a network effect. Because a front office person will say, oh, I have a problem with this customer, please check it. And they will go to back office. Back office will check the same dashboard, but with elevated privileges, with access to more data, and they will be able to correct it or take whatever action. So naturally, they start talking on the data. Why? Because data is our common language. I don't think that there are many things more, universal in this world, in the business world, such as data. So data is the enabler of such communication. From the real world, we have done such approach with Superbet. Superbet is currently top 5 betting and gaming operator in the world, with massive operations across Europe and South America. They started small. They started from a 10-people organization, and now they are in the 8,000 employees, or close to 9,000. And the story was really funny. Before implementing the data architecture, they didn't know how much money they made. Really, they didn't know. It took them roughly 45 days, let's say from the 1st of Jan. They would only know in 15th of February how much money they made in the 1st of Jan. It was that bad, okay? But once we implemented a proper data architecture and we started delivering data on a twice per day basis, people are starting to see, okay, we have data, we know how much money we made. But then it became critical at the point where something crashed, of course. And as per Murphy's Law, it crashed on Saturday morning. The CEO of the company, he was checking the reports on a daily basis. It already became a habit for him. And he called a guy, why is my data not there? This was the only question. Why is my data not there? I need my data. At that moment, it became like an explosion. And then they realized that they need to populate this kind of knowledge to the entire organization. Okay, and they not only did some trainings and these kind of things, they created a very strong data architecture, and they created even a roadmap for what it takes to be a real insights geek in Superbet. So there is a journey that each user must take in order to become like what we call a creator, right? There are trainings that are a lot of internal initiatives that are taking you to this path, right? So it's all part of the data strategy to set up the data architecture, but also the data culture. You cannot say that you have certain positions in Superbet if you don't have certain knowledge in data. Again, public case is available on our website. I invite you to read it in full. And then enterprise-wide adoption. How to do it? Tableau has a methodology. I prefer also the term guideline, which is called Tableau Blueprint. Sometimes it's very difficult for me to spell it Tableau Blueprint, but it works. So the story of this is that this was the internal Tableau methodology for when they did in their own professional services. At some point, they released it to partners, and after that, they released it to the public world free of charge. Yeah, because this is a methodology on how to become a data-driven organization. What does it take? And this is a structure. And the main pillars are on the right side: agility, proficiency, and community. Agility means that I need to be able to deliver fast and to respond to any changes. As Kate was saying, change is the only constant. To be proficient, basically to be the best in what we do. And community. Community is highly important because it's about collaboration. Data, like many of the systems that we have in our infrastructure, is not isolated. It's not sitting in a bowl, completely isolated from everything else. It naturally requires advocacy from the executive team, and it is highly dependent on an analytic strategy. Why is the strategy required? There is a saying that the road is very long if you don't know where you want to go. Right? And this is the same with the strategy. The strategy will take you there, and it will define what are your objectives, where you need to go, and how to go there. And then the blueprint is coming to structure all of this. And we deployed very successfully change management programs based on such approach. Along with the blueprint, we also added our own, let's say, blueprint on the blueprint, which is called Tableau Rangers. Why? Because in Blueprint we have these training plans, but then people are starting to deliver content. They start to build dashboards. But then again, sometimes they are not the best performant. Sometimes they don't respect the guidelines of the company. For example, in Coca-Cola, if you use the color blue, then you can be fired because it's Pepsi. So, what we do here, we do a lot of monitoring and we don't fix it. Instead, we go to the person who did this and we teach them how to do it better. And we have a massive success here. Why? Because it's not about fixing. It's about building and putting every brick on the data culture. Again, from the real life. In Orange, we are doing Tableau Rangers for 1 year or so. In Superbet, this was the pilot for our Tableau Ranger initiative. It's already in the 3rd year. In OTP, we also deployed Tableau Ranger along with Blueprint when they had a massive internal digital transformation project, which coincided with the pandemic. So we see the success from here. Typically, like any change program, it has mid to long-term effects, but also there is some quick wins that are immediately visible. And this is not only about Tableau, it is about the entire data infrastructure that you're working on. Tableau is only the front layer, the visible layer, okay? But it's about delivering it. And what it takes to deliver it, it takes the data architecture, it takes the required processes, it takes the required governance, and of course the visualization layer. On top of Tableau Rangers, we are usually deploying a training program, which we stick to very, very strictly. And one key element here is that trainings are scheduled on a very fixed manner, in terms that we have Explorer training for like every 3 months or so. And if you want to go there, then you need to register and you need to do some quiz in order to qualify for it. So we make it like a game for employees. We do Tableau Doctor, so for solving any problems that any data user will have. We use Tableau Day, where we collaborate a lot with Tableau people in order to bring the new innovations and to show internal success stories from this specific organization on how other department is using the data. We have AMA channels. Salesforce doesn't hear this, but we also have it in Teams and also on Slack. And office hours, where basically we have pre-booked time for answering questions. All of this is is coming in the idea that you deploy a tool, you deploy Tableau, whatever, but then you have to use it. How do you know that you use it? How do you know that you use it properly? How do you know that you are leveraging this investment? This is not the kind of thing that you do deploy and forget. You deploy, you maintain, you grow, and so on. And this is how you do it. Governance. In many conversations, and especially when you speak to vendors, you will hear about tools. Be it Tableau, be it CRM, be it MuleSoft, be it whatever it is. But the conversation is not only about the tools. It's about people, processes, and tools. Always. You can have the best BI platform in the market. You can have the best CRM in the market. If you don't adjust the processes in order to use it and to incorporate it in the operational processes, then it's zero. You can switch back to Excel. If you don't have the people who are in the mindset of using the new technologies, even though some people might be scared that, oh, I cannot learn new things, I'm not in the mood to learn new things, and so on. There are ways to address this, but it's important to have the people on board. Never discount the staff that is supposed to use these technologies that you invested in for the benefit of the company. So it's always people, processes, and tools, always. Why? Because we are talking about standardized and validated data. This is part of governance. Standardized means that, as I was speaking earlier, the glossary, the business terms. I'll give you a funny story, funny in the sad way. I was speaking to a bank, and we had in the room the heads of division. We were discussing about these governance topics. And they said, no, we are okay, we are okay. Good, let me ask a simple question. How many customers do you have? And some guy is saying 2 million customers. Fine. And then the other guy is saying, no, we don't have 2 million. If you don't count active customers, we have only 1.5. No, but then another guy says, no, but if you only count these guys that only have a loan and they only pay the loan, this is not our customer. So then they fought for like 10 minutes for a simple definition such as customer. And this is where governance comes in, where we define, we standardize these definitions, and we validate the calculations. Lifetime value. We need to be on the same page, regardless if it's finance, marketing, sales, logistics, what is lifetime value for a customer? Do we count returned orders? Do we not count returned orders? Do we count the shipping, the cost for shipping, and so on and so forth? These are the questions that are present in the various discussions between different departments because they all have their own interest. But the purpose here is to align. Of course, compliance. Especially in the age of AI, it's very easy to, forget or push aside the ethics and forget about GDPR. And a data scientist, when they will see a data set with a lot of data, they will start doing campaigns with disregarding the important rules that we have in basic compliance, not to mention regulatory industries such as banking, telecom, finance, and so on. The good thing is that after this data becomes the single source of truth. And this is massively important because we are not going to a department asking number of customers and getting another response from another department with a different number. We have a single source of truth. What we did in one example customer, we defined 472 data points for each of their consumers. 472 data points. We calculate them every week. Basically, we know everything about each person. We know when they order, what they will order, who they are in contact with, and so on and so forth. And this data has become the single source of truth for reporting, for analytics, for segmentation, for machine learning. And nobody is questioning this. Nobody is questioning the way a lifetime value is calculated or AOV or anything else because it is aligned. The definitions and calculations are aligned. And we get to the trust of data. If I'm a manager in any level, if I am to make a decision based on data, I have to trust it. If I don't trust it, I will not take a decision. I will get back to the drawing board, request validation, reconciliation, and so on. But once I trust it, I can really trust it and rely my decisions on the data. Trust can only be accomplished if the above are there. And like previously, data is becoming the common business language. And I think that you see this in every meeting, even if we don't actively think about it, we speak about data. We speak about numbers, we speak about number of employees, headcount, pipeline, P&L, profits, and so on. This is data. This is pure data. And after this, what is the destination? Where does it take us? Why shall we do it? Coming back to the initial story of the speech. We would become a data-driven organization because a data-driven organization will take us from curiosity to clarity, and it will allow us to take educated decision on every level of the organization. Let me know if it makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions or debates or something that you don't agree. Or otherwise, thank you so much.